I found my son living in his car because his wife emptied their accounts and disappeared. I found my son at a Walmart parking lot on March 8th, Tuesday night, around 10:30 maybe. Could have been later. I wasn't really paying attention to the time. He was living in his car. Not just sitting there waiting for someone. Actually living there. In a 2015 Honda Civic parked in the back corner, near the dumpsters where the lights don't really reach. I'm Robert Chen. 54. I do software sales. Enterprise solutions. B2B stuff. It's boring but pays the bills. I live in Arvada, Colorado. Same house for 23 years. Bought it in 2001 when prices were still reasonable. Jake is my son. 28. My only kid. His mom died 7 years ago, so it's just been us since then. I was driving home from a client dinner. One of those dinners that goes way too long, because the client keeps ordering wine and talking about his boat, or his golf game or whatever. I don't remember. I wasn't really listening. Just nodding and smiling because he's a big account. Left the restaurant around 10. Traffic on 70 looked terrible, so I cut through the Walmart parking lot trying to save time. Wasn't even supposed to be there. Saw a car with condensation all over the windows. Someone sleeping inside. You see that sometimes at Walmart. People living in their cars. It's a whole thing now apparently. I wouldn't have stopped except I saw the bumper sticker. CSU Rams. Colorado State. That's where Jake went. Then I noticed the parking permit hanging from the mirror. Expired one from Ridgeline Apartments. That's where Jake lived with his wife. Wait, that's his car. I pulled over. Didn't even think about it. Just reacted. Parked crooked across 2 spaces. Left my engine running. Got out. Walked over to the Honda. All the windows completely fogged up. Couldn't see anything inside. But I could hear music playing quietly. That folk stuff Jake always listened to. Never could remember the band names. Bon Iver or something. I knocked on the window. Nothing. Knocked again harder. Music stopped. Heard movement inside. Rustling sounds. Then the window cracked open maybe an inch. Jake's face in the gap. He looked terrible. Really terrible. Hair all greasy like he hadn't washed it in days. Face was thinner. When did I last see him? Thanksgiving maybe. 4 months ago. He'd looked normal then. This wasn't normal. Dark circles under his eyes. Wearing this old gray hoodie from college. Worn out. Holes in the sleeves. His voice cracked when he saw me. Just said dad like a question. I asked what he was doing there. He started to say something then stopped. Couldn't finish the sentence. Asked if he was living in his car. He wouldn't answer. Looked away. I told him to open the door. He said he couldn't talk about it. I said I'd call 911 for a wellness check if he didn't open the door. That worked. He unlocked it. The smell hit me when I opened the door. Not awful. Not like garbage. But stale. Like someone living in a small space with no fresh air. Fast food bags on the floor. Taco Bell. McDonald's. Empty water bottles everywhere. A pillow in the back seat. Cheap one from Target maybe. Gray fleece blanket all balled up. Plastic storage bin with clothes visible inside. He was actually living in his car. I asked how long. He said 2 weeks. Maybe. Said he'd lost track. 2 weeks. 2 weeks and I had no idea. Hadn't called him. Hadn't checked on him. What kind of father doesn't check on his kid for 2 weeks? I asked where Melissa was. His wife. His face just collapsed. Like something inside him broke. He said she left. Said she took everything. I asked what he meant by everything. The bank accounts. She'd emptied all of them. Their joint account had $42,000 in it. His personal savings had $18,000. That was money from my dad's inheritance when he died 8 months ago. Jake had been saving it for a house down payment. She took all of it. Transferred it out. Then she left. He was crying by then. Quiet crying. Like he was trying not to make noise. Embarrassed maybe. Said she left a note. Said she'd met someone else. Said she deserved to start fresh. Said he should be grateful she didn't take more. She'd closed all their credit cards. Changed all the passwords. Locked him out of everything. And she kicked him out of the apartment because her name was on the lease and his wasn't. He came home from work 2 weeks ago and the locks were changed. There was a cardboard box outside the door with some of his clothes. Not all of them. Just some random things she grabbed. And a note taped to the box. I asked why he didn't call me. He said he was embarrassed. Didn't know how to explain it. Kept thinking he could fix it himself. But he couldn't get into the apartment. Couldn't access the accounts. She'd moved everything to an account in just her name. He tried calling the bank, but they said he needed a police report first. He just couldn't deal with it. So he didn't. I asked what he'd been living on. $300. Cash he had in his wallet. That's all. For 2 weeks. He'd been using it for gas to get to work. For food. Said he'd been doing the free breakfast at the Hampton Inn near his office. Just walking in like he was a guest. Taking food. Dinner was dollar menu stuff. McDonald's. Taco Bell. He said he was managing. He wasn't managing. Anyone could see that. He'd lost weight. A lot of weight. Face was gaunt. Eyes looked hollow. I told him to get his stuff. He was coming home with me. He started to protest, but I just said to get his stuff now. He gathered everything. The pillow. The blanket. The bin. Moved slowly like every motion took effort. I helped him load it into my trunk. Didn't take long. 1 bin and a blanket. That's all he had. He asked about his car. I said leave it. We'd get it tomorrow. We drove to my house in silence. I tried to think of what to say but couldn't come up with anything. Just drove. Jake stared out the window. Didn't say anything. My house is the same house he grew up in. 3-bedroom ranch in Arvada. Built in the 70s. Needs work but it's paid off. When we got there I told him to go shower. Said I'd make food. He went upstairs. I heard the bathroom door close. Water running. I stood in my kitchen trying to process everything. My son had been homeless for 2 weeks. His wife had stolen $60,000 and disappeared. I made grilled cheese and tomato soup. His comfort food. His mom used to make it when he was sick or had a bad day. She died 7 years ago. Cancer. She would have known what to say right now. I didn't. Jake came down 20 minutes later. Clean clothes from the bin. Hair wet. Looked better but still exhausted. We sat at the kitchen table. I put food in front of him. He picked up the sandwich. Took 1 bite. Put it down. Picked up the spoon. Stirred the soup. Didn't actually eat any. He said he was sorry. I asked for what? For being a mess. For not having his life together. For needing me to rescue him. I told him to stop. That he hadn't done anything wrong. His wife committed fraud. That wasn't his fault. He said he should have seen it coming. Should have noticed signs. I asked if there were signs. He thought about it. Said maybe. She'd been distant for a few months. On her phone a lot. Going out with friends more. But he thought she just needed space. Thought he was being a good husband by giving her room. She never said anything about leaving. They'd been talking about buying a house. About kids. About their future. Then one day he came home and she was gone. He put his head down on the table. Just sat there. I let him sit. Didn't know what else to do. After a while, I asked if he had documentation, bank statements, proof she took the money. He said some. Had screenshots of the accounts before she emptied them. Had the note she left. I asked where the note was. In his car. Glove box. I said okay. Tomorrow we deal with it. Tonight he should just sleep. Showed him upstairs to his old bedroom. I kept it mostly the same. Changed the sheets every few months, even though no one used it. Fresh towels in his bathroom. He stood in the doorway looking at everything. His old posters still on the walls. Bookshelf. Desk. He said thanks. I went back downstairs. Didn't sleep. Sat at the kitchen table thinking. Started making calls around midnight. Left messages. Sent emails. By morning I had appointments set up. First was my attorney. Linda Morrison. She'd handled my wife's estate. Some business contracts. She was good. We met at her office at 10. Downtown Denver. Nice building. Jake brought the note. Brought screenshots. Brought whatever transaction records he'd managed to download before getting locked out. Linda read everything. Took maybe 20 minutes. Didn't say anything the whole time. Then she said it was fraud. Pretty clear. Melissa transferred money from joint accounts without consent. Took his inheritance without authorization. Locked him out of their home. I asked what we could do. She said file a police report first. This was theft. Then file civil suit for return of funds. Could also file for emergency court orders to freeze any accounts Melissa had. Jake asked if that would work. His voice was quiet. Defeated. Linda said it depended on whether Melissa still had the money. Had she spent it? He said he didn't know. Couldn't access anything to check. Linda made notes. Asked where Melissa was now. Jake said he didn't know. The note said she was starting fresh somewhere. Didn't say where. Linda said we'd need to find her. Can't serve papers without locating her. She asked more questions. Timeline. Details. Jake answered. Sounded exhausted. After an hour Linda said she'd file the police report that day. Draft the civil complaint. We'd need to investigate to find Melissa. Once we found her we'd serve papers and request emergency hearing. I asked how long. She said if we were lucky maybe a few weeks. If Melissa fought it could be months. Jake's face just fell. I said do it. Whatever it takes. We went to the police station next. Filed a report with Officer Rodriguez. Maybe 35 years old. Looked bored at first. Then he read Jake's documentation, and his expression changed. Said it was identity theft and fraud. Possibly wire fraud if she transferred money electronically across state lines. That's federal. Jake asked what that meant. Rodriguez said FBI might get involved. Said this was serious. She could face prison time. Jake looked uncomfortable. Said he didn't want her to go to prison. Just wanted his money back. Rodriguez looked at him for a long moment. Said Jake needed to think about this. She stole $60,000 and left him homeless. We left with a case number. Rodriguez said a detective would be in touch. Things started moving after that. Detective assigned to the case was Sarah Martinez. She called Jake on Friday. She'd located Melissa. Phoenix, Arizona. Living with someone. A man named Trevor Dawson. Said they pulled bank records with a warrant. Melissa had transferred the money to an account in just her name. Then made several large purchases. New car. $28,000. Furniture. About $15,000. And she'd given a large sum to Trevor Dawson. $30,000. Transferred directly to his account. Jake's voice cracked when he heard that. She gave his inheritance to her boyfriend. Martinez said that's what it looked like. Good news was they could track the money. Bad news was some was already spent. The car was in Melissa's name. The furniture was at the apartment she was renting with Dawson. But that $30,000 she gave Trevor might be harder to recover. She said they were building a case. Fraud, theft, identity theft since she accessed Jake's accounts without permission. She presented to the DA next week. If they agreed to prosecute, they'd issue a warrant. Jake just sat there after the call ended. Stared at his hands. Said he couldn't believe this was happening. They'd been married 3 years. How did he not know she was this person? I didn't have an answer. The DA agreed to prosecute. Warrant issued April 3rd. Melissa was arrested in Phoenix on April 5th. Extradited back to Colorado. Linda filed the civil suit the same day Melissa was arrested. Requested emergency hearing to freeze her assets and order return of the funds. Hearing was April 18th. Jake had to testify. Had to sit across the courtroom from Melissa and explain everything. She looked different. Tan, hair highlighted. New clothes. Looked at Jake once while he was testifying. Just once. Her face was completely blank. Like she was looking at a stranger. Jake's voice kept shaking when he talked. He'd stop mid-sentence. Forget what he was saying. Judge was patient. Let him take his time. Melissa's attorney argued the money in the joint account was half hers. She had a right to it. Linda shut that down fast. Said the inheritance was Jake's separate property. And the joint account. Melissa had transferred it all without telling Jake while planning to leave. That was fraud. Judge agreed. Ordered accounts frozen. Ordered Melissa to return the funds. But there was a problem. Most of the money was already spent. The car was in her name. Worth maybe $20,000 now. Not the $28,000 she paid. The furniture. Already used. Depreciated. The $30,000 she gave Trevor. He claimed it was a gift. Legally not much we could do. Linda filed to seize the car. Force a sale. Use that to pay Jake back. But it wouldn't be enough. He'd get back maybe $40,000 total. Out of $60,000. The other $20,000 was just gone. Criminal trial was set for July. Melissa pleaded not guilty at first. Said she had a right to the money because they were married. Said Jake was exaggerating. But the evidence was clear. Her attorney knew it. DA knew it. Eventually they worked out a plea deal. Melissa would plead guilty to theft and fraud. Get probation instead of prison if she paid back what she could. Car would be sold. She'd make monthly payments for the rest. 10 years of payments. Jake would get back maybe $40,000 total. $20,000 was just gone. The plea hearing was in August. Melissa stood in front of the judge and admitted what she'd done. Said she was sorry. Her voice was flat. Didn't sound sorry. Jake sat next to me. Didn't say anything. Stared straight ahead. Judge accepted the plea. 5 years probation. Restitution payments. $400 a month. At $400 a month, it would take 8 years to get his money back. Assuming Melissa actually made the payments. Outside the courthouse, Melissa's attorney tried to approach us. Said Melissa wanted to talk to Jake. Wanted to explain. Linda told him to fuck off. We left. Jake moved back in with me after that. Didn't have a choice. Couldn't afford rent anywhere. His credit was destroyed because Melissa had maxed out cards in his name before leaving. Cards he didn't even know existed. Took months to sort that out. Dispute the charges. Fix his credit report. He went back to work. Engineering firm downtown. His boss had been understanding about the time off for court. But Jake was different after. Quieter. More withdrawn. He'd barely talk at dinner. I'd make food and he'd push it around his plate. Say he wasn't hungry. Lost more weight. His clothes started hanging off him. I tried to get him to see someone. Therapist. He said no. Said he was fine. He wasn't fine. One night around 11, I heard something from his room. Crying. Muffled like he was trying to be quiet. I stood outside his door for a long time. Didn't know if I should knock. Finally did. Knocked softly. Crying stopped. Silence. Then footsteps. Door opened. His eyes were red. Face blotchy. We stood there. He said something about feeling like an idiot. Said everyone probably thought he was stupid for not seeing what Melissa was doing. I said that wasn't true. Said trust wasn't stupidity. What she did was criminal. Not his fault. He didn't look convinced. We stood in the hallway. I didn't know what else to say. He went back in his room. Closed the door. I went downstairs. Sat in the kitchen thinking about Sarah. Jake's mom. She would have known what to say. How to help. I didn't. The restitution payments started in September. $400 a month. Direct deposit. Jake didn't say anything when the first one came through. Didn't acknowledge it. Just kept going to work. Coming home. Going to his room. 3 months later Melissa stopped paying. Just stopped. No explanation. Linda filed a motion for enforcement. Judge issued a warrant for violating probation. But Melissa was gone. Not in Phoenix anymore. Not at the address on file. Warrant went out but she disappeared. Jake didn't react when Linda told him. Just nodded. Said okay. We'd gotten back $1,200. Out of $20,000 still owed. That was it. That's all he'd ever see. A year after finding him in that parking lot Jake moved out. Got his own apartment. Small 1-bedroom in a not great area. But affordable. His credit had recovered enough. Barely. He seemed. Not better. But functioning. Going through motions. I helped him move in. We didn't talk much. He didn't have much stuff. Had to buy all new furniture. When we finished I asked if he wanted dinner. He said he was tired. Maybe another time. I left. Drove home. Sat in my driveway for a while. House felt empty without him. I tried calling a few days later. See how he was settling in. He didn't answer. Texted back later. Said he was fine. Busy with work. I didn't push. Weeks went by. I'd text occasionally. He'd respond. Short messages. Yeah. Good. Fine. I stopped by his apartment once. Unannounced. Probably shouldn't have. He answered the door. Looked surprised. Let me in. The apartment was bare. A couch. TV. Kitchen was empty, except for a coffee maker and cereal boxes. We sat on the couch. Talked about work. Weather. Nothing real. After 20 minutes I left. Told him to call if he needed anything. He said he would. He didn't. 2 years later I still think about that night sometimes. Finding him in the parking lot. How he looked when he cracked the window open. How defeated his voice sounded. How Melissa just took everything and left. Destroyed him and walked away. She's still out there somewhere. Still has that warrant. Still owes $20,000. We'll probably never find her. She'll probably never pay. Jake is okay, I guess. Surviving. Working. Living in that apartment. We have dinner every few months. Awkward dinners where we don't talk about anything important. He's not the same person. That version is gone. This one is quieter. Guarded. Doesn't trust people. Can't blame him. I don't know if he'll ever recover. Don't know if he'll ever trust anyone again. Sometimes I wonder what I could have done differently. If I should have pushed harder. Made him get help. Therapy. But I didn't. Just let him pull away. Maybe that was wrong. My son was homeless. His wife destroyed his life. He got back a fraction of what she stole. Now he lives alone in a bare apartment and barely talks to me. That's how it is. Not sure what else there is to say about it. The restitution payments would have taken 8 years if she kept paying. She didn't. Stopped after 3 months. $1,200. That's what he got back. Out of $60,000. The rest is gone. She's gone. That version of Jake is gone too. I drive past that Walmart sometimes. The parking lot. Can't help looking at the back corner near the dumpsters. Sometimes there's another car parked there. Someone else living in their car. Someone else's kid probably. I never stop anymore though. Don't know what I'd say. Jake calls every few weeks now. Usually Sunday mornings. We talk for maybe 10 minutes. Surface stuff. How's work? How's the weather? Did I see the game? He never mentions Melissa. Never talks about what happened. It's like those 3 years of his life just don't exist anymore. I don't bring it up either. What would I say? The warrant is still active. Sometimes I check. Log into the county system. See if there's been any updates. There never are. She's good at disappearing apparently. Good at a lot of things. Lying. Stealing. Destroying people. Jake's therapist. He finally started seeing one about 6 months ago. Didn't tell me for a while. Just mentioned it casually one day on the phone. Said it was helping. Said he was working through some stuff. Didn't elaborate. I didn't ask. His apartment has more furniture now. He mentioned getting a table. Some chairs. A real bed frame instead of just a mattress on the floor. Small things. Progress, I guess. He's talking about maybe getting a dog. Said his lease allows pets. Said it might be nice to have company. I said that sounded good. We don't talk about the money anymore. The $20,000 that's still owed. The payments that stopped. It's just gone. We both know it. Sometimes I think about that night. Driving through the Walmart parking lot. Seeing his car. What if I hadn't cut through there? What if I'd taken the highway despite the traffic? What if I hadn't noticed the bumper sticker? How much longer would he have lived in that car? Would he have called me eventually? Or would he have just kept going? Kept pretending he was managing? I don't know. Don't like thinking about it. But I do think about it. A lot. The house is paid off. I've got savings. Retirement account. I'm doing okay financially. Jake will be okay eventually. He's young. He'll rebuild. But that trust he had. That belief that people are fundamentally good. That if you love someone they won't destroy you. That's gone. Don't think he's getting that back. Melissa took more than money. She took the version of Jake who believed in people. Who trusted easily. Who loved without hesitation. That person doesn't exist anymore. The person who exists now is careful. Guarded. Keeps people at arm's length. Including me. We're not as close as we used to be. Before all this. He doesn't call when he has a bad day. Doesn't ask for advice. Doesn't share what's really going on in his life. Just surface conversation every few weeks. Maybe that'll change. Maybe with enough time and therapy. Or maybe this is just how it is now. My son survived. He's working. He has an apartment. He's functioning. That's more than he had 2 years ago when I found him sleeping in his car. So I guess that's something. Not much. But something. I keep thinking there should be more to this story. Some kind of resolution. Justice. Closure. But there isn't. Melissa got away with it mostly. She's somewhere living her life with $20,000 that isn't hers. Jake lost everything and got back a fraction of it, and I watched my son break and didn't know how to fix him. That's the story. No neat ending. No justice. No lesson learned. Just my son living in a bare apartment barely talking to me. And me driving past that Walmart sometimes wondering how long he would have stayed there if I hadn't found him. That's it. That's all there is.